Welcome to Start With a Win, where we give you the tools and lessons you need to create business and personal success. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Coming to you from Brand Viva Media Studios, it's Adam Contos. Start with a win with producer Mark here. How you doing, buddy?
I'm so good.
Awesome. Hey, we're in your neck of the woods here.
Yeah,
now.
we are. We're at Brand Viva Media headquarters.
That's it. Yeah. This is now the new Start with a Win Studios.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you'll be coming here when we do these solo casts and even remote, unless you're in Arizona or traveling the world doing business deals, whatever it might be.
Yeah, sure. But I want everybody take it. We've gone so many years with Brand Viva Media doing the podcast here, as well as a lot of our other media assets. And that's so important for growing a business and growing a personal brand, things of that nature. So for all of our listeners, if you have not gone to brandvivamedia.com, go check it out and leave Mark a message, say hi, check him out on social media, things like that. Because ultimately, this is the future of business. This is how business is done, is people need to see you and understand you in order to build that trust and confidence in your organization. So all my business friends out there, check them out. You guys have helped set up a lot of podcasts like this in our space too.
Yeah, we do a lot of podcasting, personal brand development, stuff like that, and video production, all sorts of stuff. So usually I always say, like, we create the content you use for marketing.
Ooh, that's catchy.
So
catchy. Yeah. Speaking of business, we're going to talk about business today. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because, obviously I'm going through a transition in life.
The transition.
the big transition. So March 31st was my last day as CEO at the amazing company Remax. Mm-hmm. So I guess you could say theoretically retired after 18 or 19 years there. But not done. I've got so much stuff going on. We're continuing the podcast, sponsored by Remax and Brand Viva Media. So, super happy about that. And thanks to you and Remax for the sponsorship. So, but the question that makes me think about this, and I want to talk about this today, because a lot of us have this question in life, is what's next?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think about your career and I think about, where you've come from and what you've done. And so, what would you say there's maybe like 3 or 4 areas of your life that have been that moment of like, what's next? I mean, you were a successful sheriff and SWAT team, commander. Is that the right term? I don't know.
Yep. Sounds good. Yeah,
it sounds
that's
legit.
what the title was. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you kind of were there, and then it's like, okay, what's next? And then I know you talked about doing some internet businesses and things like that, and you started doing some training stuff.
Right.
And so then it was like, that brought you to the next thing, and then you were at Remax, and you kind of just jumped in entry level and kind of worked your way up. And I'm sure you had the question, what's next, And then you kind of got to the CEO level. It's kind of like, okay, now what's next? So, I think it'd be interesting for our listeners to kind of hear maybe some of your thoughts and your processes in each one of those phases of your life.
Oh, totally. And I want to make this about the listeners. I don't want to make this about my career. Yeah. This is about that thought process and that problem solving process of determining for everybody out there what's next. And to be clear, this doesn't mean, I think I'm going to stop doing what I want to do, what I'm doing right now, and just cast, all concerns to the wind and just wildly go out and change things. If that's you, then great, be you. But the reality is we can make, and my what's next is not a massive change. Yeah, it sounds like it, but it's pivots. It's small little pivots that have gotten me where I'm at, gotten me to where I'm at, as well as have my future, planning in mind, if you will. So, but I have these questions I ask myself. I ask myself every day when I think, all right, I'm going to make a change. What do you think of when you make change? You think, what's next? And that's what we need to consider here for all of our listeners, for everybody out there. When you ask yourself, what's next? Some of these ideas, how do you generate those? How do you put forth a plan, things of that nature? And I want to help you with that today.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Cool. So the first question you have to consider is, why are you asking yourself this? Why are you asking yourself what's next? Is it because change happened to you, or is it because you want change to happen? So, and by the way, change is good. Change is good. If you lose your job, it's an opportunity. If you see another thing you can do in life, it's an opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean you should go chasing squirrels because or rabbits or whatever it is, because what is it? The dog that chases 2 rabbits catches none. Yeah, stop doing too much stuff and focus on something and get really good at it. And that's, realistically and vulnerably, that's one of the challenges that I have is I have a lot of opportunities presented to me.
But then the trick is not to get stuck into that shiny object syndrome, right?
Totally.
Where it's just like you're hopping from thing to thing. Because obviously, if you don't put energy and time into something, then it's not going to grow and it's not going to achieve what you wanted to achieve.
Exactly. So the reality of that is write down all those opportunities and then take and write the pros and cons on each one of them. What's the potential upside and what is the ramp up time it takes? And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited about it are you? And start pulling those things apart. Start ripping them off the table and throwing them away, going, nope, nope, nope. And you'll get down to a handful of them and then rank them most important to least important. Rank them and figure out, okay, what's next? And what you'll find is that what's next might be something fun and cool. And you look at it and you go, but does that truly catapult me past what I've done so far? Because what you've done so far generally is really, really fantastic. But if you don't have a compelling reason for it and it doesn't check all those boxes for this gets me super excited and I know it's going to be something that has a high probability of success and I'm in it to win it. You know, I'm going all in. I'm willing to cut my ties and go do that, burn my boats on the shore and march inland and make this thing work. Don't do it. Don't dabble in your what's next, because then you become a dabbler, and again, you're going to be the starving dog.
Nobody likes a dabbler.
Nobody likes a dabbler, do they? So, and obviously, again, back to that question of, is this forced change or is this voluntary change? Did somebody come in and pull the carpet out from under you, or did your job or your career come to an end? And are you doing this of somebody else's will and you're like, okay, time to step up and make the most of it? Or are you doing it of your own? So, think about those things. And then it's not necessary to make a complete wholesale change in your life, by the way. But can you make small changes? I mean, it's little change. Have you made small changes in your business before, Mark?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and even just to test things out, it's like, all right, I want to start offering X, Y, and Z. Let me kind of put it out there and see if there's a market for that or an interest in that.
Right.
And so kind of testing it out and being able to essentially fail without like hurting yourself too much, Yeah,
totally. I mean, if you can mitigate the losses, do. It'd be like, okay, let's say you're in the real estate space. A lot of our listeners are real estate agents or brokers of offices. What would be a small pivot that could have big results or even medium-sized results that you can scale up that you could embark upon, but you're not giving up your bread and butter, the real estate business? Well, maybe you get into home staging, or maybe you start, or hire a media company like what you have here to go out and do that work, and then you sublease that out to people, or you subcontract that out to people, and you make a profit off of that. Who knows what it is, but you're good at what you've got, and it's working really well, and you don't want to give it up, and you can add something. That's a small pivot, and that's a small what's next, but you're mitigating your losses because you've still got the big thing going. So I want to jump into a couple questions here, because we've talked about kind of looking at the sticky notes of where we're at on what's next, things of that nature. But I have a question about 3 things that you should consider if you've got what should I do next? 3 things, and you've narrowed it down on those sticky notes. But ultimately, what do you have that you can implement in the next? So write down, what do you have? And it might be, I'm really good at marketing. I'm good at social media. I have a huge network of people that I've done business with in the past. So, you have a built-in customer list, something like that. I'm great at video. Or maybe you got nothing and you just want to start from scratch. Well, you have a blank slate then is what you have, and you have the opportunity to go out and do it. Or maybe you've screwed it up and people are like, oh, they don't like me. Okay, now you have lessons is what you have. So what do you have that you can contribute to your what's next? The second question you have to ask is, what do you want? What are you trying to get out of this? Is it you're just chasing the shiny thing, or you're burnt out and you want to recharge or refresh? And what's next might not be the answer. It might be go on a vacation and go meditate someplace, or read a book, or hire somebody to do some of the monotony that you have. But don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater here and say, I'm done with the bathwater, so the baby goes too. I mean, you can't throw away your business simply because you're sick of part of it. Bring somebody in to deal with it and enjoy the part that you enjoy. So, what do you want from your business? What makes you happy? What takes up time? What makes you money? What takes up money? And what impacts your personal life positively or negatively out of that? So do a little reflection here. This one's big. This is a really big one. What do you want? And where's your heart? And then my third question, what do you need to get in order to accomplish this goal? So if it's going from a smaller listing to a larger listing, what do you need to get? Maybe it's an appearance of sophistication. Maybe it's a change in your attitude. Maybe it's just taking a look at your marketing materials and saying, our average listing is $250,000. And the person with the $1 million house isn't going to look at you and go, oh, your average listing is $250,000. Here's my $1 million listing. No, it's we sell awesome houses or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you set your standards. Put them somewhere big. So what do you need to get? Where are you going to up your standards in order to get that? Kind of an interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah. It's kind of like the whole idea of like dress for the job you want.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's the idea of start, who do you have to become to get the things that you want, and how does your business have to be perceived in order for it to grow to where it needs to be, That's
a great question. Who do you have to become? Because success is not something you can go chase or go find. It's something that you become. And if you become that success, the success will follow you instead of you chasing it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever went into the gym already a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever got their real estate license already a realtor. Nobody ever, went to the office already a CEO or a vice president or a executive or whatever. You got to make it. You got to get there. And here's the thing. You can always raise the bar a little bit higher than where it's at. Mm-hmm. Always. You just need to sit down and go, what do you want to do? And then make a plan to get there. So that's the last part of this in wrapping this up, Mark, is what do you want to do and make a plan to get there? I'm going to do XYZ in order to get this. And I'm going to do it by this date. What is this called? This is called a goal. I'm not a fan of goals. I'm a fan of processes. So, okay, I'm gonna do XYZ. This is what X looks like. This is what Y looks like. This is what Z looks like. Pull out your calendar and put it in there. And take the actions necessary to achieve those particular milestones, to achieve the particular item that, going back to the beginning of this, is next. Simply put, what's next? What do I need to do to get there? And then if you're overwhelming yourself with it, go back and listen to this again and break it down into those steps. What do you have? What do you want? What do you need to get? Put down your steps, put them in your calendar, and boom, there you go.
And boom, there you go.
Boom. That's good for some rollout music, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Boom. There it is.
Boom. Yeah, this has been great. You know, the thing I love about this podcast is that whenever I'm here with you, I'm always getting inspired or like writing stuff down and thinking like, oh yeah, this is really great stuff. So I hope that as you're listening to this, that it has offered you an idea or some inspiration to figure out what's next and kind of the steps that you need to take to get there. Hey, if you're ready to create personal and business success, call this guy. Head over to startwithawin.com and you'll find more great content there, ways to get in touch, and just all the stuff you need to help you take things to the next level. We want to thank our sponsors today, RE/MAX. Thanks for sponsoring Start With a Win.
Nobody in the world sells more real estate
That's
than
right.
RE/MAX.
That's true.
Check them out at remax.com if you're a buyer or seller, or if you're an agent thinking about finding a great company, great office, #1 real estate brand in the world. Check it out.
That's right. And until next time, remember, start with a win.